Happy anniversary, Pumpkin. Things have been bad between us, and I'm sorry. I know one surprise isn't going to fix everything.
I love you with all of my heart. Till death do us part.
Welcome to the Night Before podcast. This is a podcast that my husband and I do about the movie we watched the night before. And we pop up at a local brewery, restaurant, place, now in general,
local
coffee shop,
local hangout spot
the next day and talk about our views and our opinions about the movie we watched the night before.
Yeah, we try our best to save our thoughts until then.
Best. Last night was hard.
I don't think last night was hard. Our previous episode, The Neon Demon, that was hard.
That was hard. Last night we watched, actually, how many movies are we talking about today?
Well, we're going to run through, I think, 3, because I think...
We watched 3 movies yesterday, but in our defense, it rained all day yesterday.
We're recording this on the 4th of July.
It is the 4th, and I'm super pumped.
At a place called Nebraska Mini Mart in Tampa, Florida.
It's a nice day.
But we watched 3 movies yesterday because Hurricane Elsa, or Tropical Storm Elsa, is on its way to us. Though somewhat unrelated, but just the various weather systems.
A lot of rain.
We had a lot of rain yesterday. And we were stuck indoors all day. So we just went out, got some supplies, meaning food and drinks, and sat and watched 3 movies.
Yeah. We did.
So I think all 3, we're going to talk about Till Death, a new...
we're going to talk about two more than, I think...
Well, I think all 3 of them don't have long conversations.
Okay.
I think they're all sort of short. But Till Death, starring Megan Fox.
Yes.
Her new movie. Our Friend, starring
Casey Affleck.
Jason Segel.
Dakota.
Do you know her last name? We've just been calling her Dakota.
It's not Fanning.
No, they're thinking of Elle Fanning from our previous movie. Dakota Johnson.
And the last one was Censor.
A film called Censor, a smaller indie film, which doesn't really have any big name stars.
Right. It's British.
But that's the order we watched them, so that's probably the order we'll talk about them.
Sure. Why not? And what are we drinking today?
We'll save the best for last. Well, we're at Nebraska Mini Mart.
We are at Nebraska Mini Mart. It's actually one of our favorite places in our kind of neighborhood. But it's an outdoor place, so if it's raining or whatever, we don't come. But they have great food, and they have great selection of drinks, I think, always.
Mm-hmm. Well, the concept behind Nebraska Mini Mart is that this used to be one of those convenience store mini marts.
Yes, it used to be called Nebraska Mini Mart.
It was called Nebraska.
They didn't change the name.
And it's just been closed for years. And it was renovated and turned into a little hangout spot with shuffleboard and bocce ball
and some people that
ping pong tables.
Another restaurant in the area. And they have really great food. They have shuffleboard tables, bocce ball, ping pong.
So it's turned into a hangout spot with good tunes, good food.
Burgers, chicken sandwiches, stuff like that.
And drinks. And you can hang out and play some games and talk. So today we're just hanging out. It's 4th of July. It's nice weather, but it's not really crowded that much today.
Everybody's out at the beach.
I think everybody's at the beach.
We did our kind of family beach, water vacation last week. So we're not at the beach today, but.
So we're drinking
a drink
they make here.
They have it on tap.
It's called Keep a Cool Hand. What's it called?
Keep a Cool Hand.
All right, see, I got it right.
And it's like, we kind of looked it up. It's like a vermouth Ricky.
All right.
So it has vermouth and lime and soda. And
ginger.
It's really nice. Ginger. It's really nice drink for being as hot as it is outside. And
it's a good summer, July drink.
Yeah. So, that's what we're doing today. Hanging out.
So yesterday, the polar opposite of the sunny weather, July, I think quickly we can talk about the Megan Fox movie, Till
Quickly.
Death,
Yes.
which just came out. It's like in theaters and streaming.
Mm-hmm.
And we both, it just skipped the line ahead, just kind of like the Neon Demon did. Because like,
Just
oh,
watch-
Megan Fox is in this thriller. Let's do it.
Well, and I had seen, I didn't know she was in a movie coming out, but I had kind of happened upon an interview with her that was funny. And then I thought, and of course she's been in the news so much with her, pop culture news with her boyfriend and whatnot. So I saw the interview, so I knew about the movie because she was promoting the interview in the movie.
The whole point of the interview, yeah.
That was the whole point of the interview. So it was slightly on my radar. Not something I was like really anxious to watch, but we thought, sure, we'll do it. Why not?
It'd be fun.
Fun. It'll be fun.
So did you like Till Death?
I did not like Till Death. I did not like it. I tried to like it.
Yeah.
I tried really hard to like it.
I thought it was a fun movie.
You know what? Megan Fox
Mhm.
is beautiful. I just want to.
Yeah,
no,
you mentioned that while we were watching
She
it.
is. She's a gorgeous human being. Like,
Sure.
she is a gorgeous human being. And I don't want to discredit her for that in any way, because I appreciate that in her. But my thought through a lot of it, as I did mention to you last night, was, she is. Do you want to say the concept of the movie first before I go into
I was
this?
going to do it after you said your little
Okay.
thought.
She is gorgeous throughout the entire movie, and she is in peril throughout pretty much the entire movie. I just worked out this morning, and I look like death after a 45-minute workout on a elliptical.
Well, now you don't. You showered
now
and cleaned
I
up.
don't. I showered.
We both did.
But what I'm saying is, she's dragging around a 160-pound man who's probably feels heavier because he's dead for the entire movie, and she looks like she just stepped out of the makeup counter.
Her
getting
makeup never really
done.
ruins much.
Nor does she look stressed.
Yeah.
Nor does she look sweaty. Nor does she look flush.
Yeah.
And that's bothersome. It's the same like Angelina Jolie effect in the Fire movie we watched, whatever that was called.
Yeah, Those Who Wish Me Dead.
Those Who
the
Wish Me
Angelina
Dead.
Jolie effect, which we call it.
We call it the Angelina. They are beautiful, and they're beautiful human beings in general. But I think you have to, you can't empathize with their stress they're going through when they look so undisturbed.
Well, I don't think
at
you
all
empathize
times.
with anybody, and that's the problem with this movie. It's just I think part of the reason you watch it is because of Megan Fox. Like, you're paying a ticket just to see her face.
I guess.
But you don't empathize with anybody in this movie.
No,
Which
they're
is part
both
of the
pretty
problem.
cold. Like her and her husband are pretty cold characters. They're not.
They're not even. Yeah, they are cold, but they're not even that. They live in this lifestyle that's unattainable or unrelatable for most of us.
Right.
He's super rich lawyer in New York City, I think it is. I don't know.
Something.
Big
yeah.
city lawyer. They have a ton of money, obviously.
Mm-hmm. They have a lake house.
They have a lake house. They go, but regardless, their marriage after 10 years is on the rocks, and
It's stale, as they say in the summary. Of
and
the
the
movie.
husband takes her to the old lake house
has it prepared for them
to kind of like
rekindle.
quote, woo her and then rekindle their love. But in reality, he's there just to
Set her up.
get revenge on her because he knows she's having an affair.
She had an
And-
affair, which she ended right before, because her anniversary was coming up, and she just decided she couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah.
But
But there's obviously no chemistry between the two of them, that their marriage is over. And so the premise is that he woos her there. He kind of tries to win her back. Super romantic. And then come morning, she wakes up, this is in the trailer, she wakes up handcuffed to him. And then he commits suicide right there in front of her.
and she's stuck to him.
But then, so the movie really is, which is like, okay, what's the enjoyable about this movie? Anything? It's like, watching. It's like how to get out of this scenario.
Right.
Because, yeah, she has to lug the dead body around, and he has set up everything in the house that you would answer, like, oh, what about her cell phone? What about the car? What about, how does she get out of here? And it's in a snowstorm.
And he's kind of thought about all those things ahead of time and like, siphoned the gas out of the car and put her cell phone in water.
But it's like the ultimate, like, vindictive husband. He leaves her messages about it. And part of the backstory was that she was attacked earlier in life. And then the other element of the movie is it becomes a sort of home intruder movie because he has also told the person who attacked her or hired him, because now he's free, where she's going to be in the house, and that person's come seek his revenge.
Do you think he hired those people to attack her in the first place?
Oh, they never go there? I don't think so. No. Because that's how they met.
Because, but...
That's how the husband and Megan Fox met, because he was a prosecution attorney.
Oh, okay.
Because he put the guy away, but then he flipped sides to show, how he's changed in the marriage, right? He's no longer a prosecution attorney. Now he's a defense attorney.
Right.
And he makes a ton of money and all this stuff. But, I think any of it... I think it's one of these movies that when it makes its way to Netflix or something else, you watch it. But you don't pay any extra money to see it. I did not like it, but my thought was it's exactly what I thought it would be. It's one of these movies that is just...
There's nothing unpredictable in it.
You put it in, you tune it out, and it's just... Will she survive? It's Megan Fox, right? There should be no surprise there. It's a star movie about a character overcoming all her struggles.
The peril.
Yeah.
And the peril is real. Like, you're just not, there is some dark humor in it, for sure.
Well, the whole movie's absurd. And if you stop for any second to think about any of it, none of it really makes sense or adds up.
Yeah, no, none of it makes sense. And there's a lot of things that don't line up, like we were noticing.
Yeah. I think she's chained to this guy. My thought was, start breaking his fingers. You'll get the handcuff off his arm if you break his fingers.
He's already dead.
Yeah.
You don't drag him around for days, or a day, or however long the movie went for.
It was just a day.
Through the snow, and it's snowy, and she has this wedding dress.
The funny part is, through all the stuff, she never even breaks a sweat.
Never.
Yeah, it's funny.
Never. And she's literally dragging this man through ice, snow, up and down stairs, into cars. And you have to think about how little she is.
So me, my only regret on this movie is you paid money to rent it and see it. But these kind of movies are exactly what they're all over the place. You just kind of watch it, you tune out, and you move on.
It's not great.
No, I wouldn't recommend it to people, but I'm like, oh yeah, watch it, it's fine. That's still death.
I felt literally, when we were done, I was like, this was just a waste of 2 hours of my life.
My thought was it's fine.
It was not great at all.
It is what it is.
It was annoying. I think it was annoying. But anyway, let's move on. Let's move on.
Don't believe the hype. People keep saying oh, Megan Fox is back. I'm like, I don't think so. I know you haven't seen it. We talked a little bit about it. I think Jennifer's Body is still the movie I like of hers, but
yeah, I haven't seen that one, but
it's definitely no Jennifer's Body.
It last night, Jennifer's
But I
Body.
would say it's better than probably those Transformers and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies she was in.
It's better than those?
It has to be. I haven't seen those, but come on. Come on. So what it is, I think I saw somebody on Letterboxd, the account I use to keep track of the movies I watch. I think somebody wrote that this is The Strangers meets Home Alone.
Yeah.
Or, Week at
Home Alone's better than this movie.
It's like Weekend at Bernie's meets...
Weekend at Bernie's is better than this movie, too.
Meets Home Alone. There's definitely some Home Alone elements in this, I thought.
She tried.
Only Home Alone because you have the two people...
She's not going to break the bank with this
one.
one.
The home invaders. I don't want to get into, Megan Fox's star power we got. I don't know. So I'm here in Fairhope, Alabama, visiting my friends and their kids. I've been reading to the kids. It's very interesting. They see these stories through like different eyes than we do. The other day I read their daughter Molly, 1 fish, 2 fish, red fish, blue fish. You remember that one? And when I finished, she said, "That's scary, Dane." I said, "What's scary about it? Is it the 1 fish, the 2 fish, the red fish, the blue fish?" She said, "No, your lack of ambition." Thank you. It's pretty scary to come up here. I have a friend who's been wanting to try stand up, but he's never done it. He's a little chicken. All right.
Anyway, let's move on.
So then we bounce to a totally different tonal movie and something you've been excited about.
I have been wanting to watch this movie for a while, and it's been like 1999, and then it was
1999.
No, I mean before when it was first on the radar, it was expensive. It was like $20.
The price to rent it.
Yeah, the price.
I thought you meant it came out in 1999.
No. This is a new movie.
Yeah, our friend. Based on a true story. It came out in 2019.
2019,
and it stars Casey Affleck, Dakota Johnson, and Jason Segel.
And I heard about it because I think I saw an interview with Jason Segel. Oh, I was listening to a podcast, Armchair Expert. Yeah. And Jason Segel was on it, and he was
Did you say
Segel?
Is it Segel or Segel? I've been saying Segel. Segel.
Segel.
Okay, I'm just curious. Anyway, you saw a podcast with Jason S.
We'll look that up. Jason S. And anyway, since they had talked about it, I looked it up, and I thought, oh, that's a movie. Now, let me just get this out there. I love sad movies. This movie is sad, and
It's a cancer movie.
I love sad movies.
So cancer movies are guaranteed to be sad, sentimental movies.
Yeah. But I think this had an element to it that made it better than your typical sad.
It's also a bromance movie.
It's not a bromance movie. It's a friend movie.
That's why I say, but it's a bromance, and that was one thing I most appreciated about it, because Dakota Johnson has cancer, and it's about her. It's about
her dying.
It's about her dying, coming to terms with that, raising a family, 2 girls.
Casey Affleck's her husband.
And then Jason Segel is the good friend.
Good friend of theirs. First hers, but then becomes friends with both of them, basically. Yeah. And
he's there. He just kind of like puts his life whole on pause to help.
He puts his entire life on pause.
Casey Affleck, who hasn't been the best.
To kind of move in with them and help them.
He hasn't been the best husband, most attentive over the years because he's kind of chased his career.
Well, he's a journalist, and he was a journalist in the military. And
Dakota Johnson has become kind of raising the girls.
Raising the kids at home, kind of absent. He's been absent a lot.
But Casey Affleck's character's in this mindset of like, I'm trying to just provide for the family and do all that can be done.
Do everything I need to do.
The more I move
He's
my
not
career,
a bad person.
No.
He's just, they have your typical marriage ups and downs. They're very in love. They get married. It's that interesting thing about between, especially male and female. Sometimes I know we get in this thing where I think sometimes the male view is you self-sacrifice things you think more monetarily, like, I got to work hard and put money in the bank and food on the table, right?
And to get us in a better place, right? There's always a better place we can get to, so you don't necessarily enjoy the place you're at,
right?
And then sometimes, speaking very broadly and generically, and then like the female mindset, especially that this movie presents, is the other side is, no, it's about enjoying your family and what you have right now in the moment you're at, and you grow and nurture that way.
And I do.
And so it's them kind of coming together on that because they had kind of been.
So they had some marriage woes before. Yeah. It kind of jumps her getting diagnosed with cancer to post. It jumps around throughout the movie. And I did like how they, being a realistic movie, because it's based on a true story, I did like that it was more realistic in the fact that a lot of movies, there was an opportunity for him to be unfaithful in his marriage because he was away a long time, but he didn't. But that would have been an easy go-to for the man to be like
But it's also
unfaithful in his
like
marriage.
the stereotypical go-to,
Right. But that would have been an easy thing.
I view some of it as to just
she-
make Casey Affleck look like
An asshole.
no, he looked like the
Nice guy.
the perfect husband in some ways.
Well, I don't think he ever looked like the perfect husband, but I think they didn't go towards, a movie like that could go towards your typical, like, the man cheated on her, they're trying to rekindle the marriage, then she gets cancer, and she doesn't really know if he's all in. Like, it could have gone to that, like, typical...
That's what I meant at the beginning when I said, the different ways people, male, female brain, maybe sometimes views building the family. His thing all the time was, and that's, I thought, part of the movie, his part of the time was, I've been just working, sacrificing all personal happiness to give us more security.
Because he does love her so much.
Yes, and then she's on the other side as well.
But he's distant because of that.
She doesn't see that part of it, just like he doesn't see the emotional connection that's needed. Mm-hmm. She doesn't see the other side that he's doing to say, hey, so yeah, of course he's even going to deny an opportunity to go after a colleague, a woman that's interested in him. Because he's like, no, that's not my mission. I mean, he even does that later on in the movie when she's still really sick and him and Jason go out just for a walk, a hike, and there's a bunch of young girls hanging out in the woods in the river.
He's kind of like, go for it.
And he's like, I'm not even going to have fun. Like, I can't allow myself to have any fun.
Because my wife's sick.
My wife's sick. And like, that just showed, I felt the mindset of his character was.
But I was surprised at the fact that she was the one that had the affair.
No, I agree.
I
wasn't
think that
surprised.
was the case.
I thought one as a narrative device, that was just the thing you do. Like, it flips your expectation that somebody was unfaithful, and it's her. But the reason was...
She was lonely.
She was lonely.
He was disconnected, detached. Emotionally, she needed that connection or attention or whatever. But to see them kind of work through it and him say... I wasn't there emotionally.
Yeah.
I wasn't, not that it was his fault or her fault. It was both of their faults. But to see that kind of them work through that, even though, she had cancer. So it was probably more, I don't know, more reason to work through it. Mm-hmm. But you don't see that as much in movies.
But they started to work through it way before she had cancer.
Yeah. But anyway, I really like the movie a lot, because I love movies that evoke emotion.
Yep.
I love movies that you can say, like, how would that be if that was happening to me or my spouse? I like realistic movies that make me feel. Mm-hmm. And that I don't have to watch someone being in peril at all times, like fighting for their lives of getting stabbed.
Well, Dakota Johnson was fighting for her life.
She was, but in a different way. She was. And it's very, very sad. Like, and I like how the girls, they dealt with the girls, the realistic nature of, like, how everything was kind of falling apart. The house was a mess, just kind of the realistic nature of it in general. I just liked it a lot.
Yeah, no, it's not a bad movie. It's a good movie.
I liked it a lot. I think Jason Segel did a good job. I think Casey Affleck did a good job. Is it anything, like, out of the ordinary or special? No, but it's definitely a movie that I feel is a good feeling movie to watch.
No, of course. I think you have to be, like, heartless not to watch this movie and say, okay, it's emotional.
But some movies like this are kind of like, they just take the cheesy approach or whatnot. I didn't feel this movie was cheesy in any way.
No, I don't think it's cheesy at all. I think it was, I think, again, the beats where it's going to go. I liked and I didn't like the bouncing nature of it, like what I mean by it. It tells you a little bit of the current story. And then it backs up and says, oh, let's tell you what happened 4 years ago. There's a lot of flashbacks.
Yeah, there was. That didn't bother me, but you really had to follow it. You definitely had to follow it.
But especially as you had kind of pieced all the pieces together, even in their back history. And as the last little part of the film, where you're really wanting to see where this goes, they do like one more flashback, and that's I think where they get in the whole affair thing with the wife. You already know all that. You don't know the details, but you know it. And I felt like you didn't need that, in my opinion. I wanted to just see more of. Not that I want to see what comes of her. She has terminal cancer. We know that from the beginning. We know how it ends when it begins. But I want to see more about just kind of where they're at now versus how they got there. Because I thought one of the most compelling parts of it, we've seen that story between, two loved ones and cancer. But it's a bromance movie, truly. And about Casey Affleck and Jason Segel, each other, learning the importance of that friendship and forming their own identity. I think the best scene in the whole movie is not anything dealing with Dakota Johnson. It's when Jason's time is done helping at the house and he leaves. And Casey Affleck does his normal, he's just doing laundry and he's talking on the phone. He stops to see Jason off. He says bye. He instantly comes back and has to, returns to his phone call. And then even in that, he has to stop because then the realization hits him.
He's alone. There's quiet. Everything goes super quiet.
His wife's passing was honestly, it seemed almost like a relief.
At that point.
She's been sick for so long.
She's been hallucinating and just a lot of all the stuff that comes with terminal cancer.
He's already accepted her loss.
Yeah.
Before she even died. But the most powerful thing was letting go of a friend and a dependent who has helped him live his life that is no obviously loving relationship, but his emotional bond was so much stronger to this friend. I felt.
You just realized that it's not normal.
Than his wife. Yeah.
I liked how they showed. I'm about to start crying now. This is bad. Oh my God.
That's what I thought was the best part. That's what made this movie a bit unique than other films. The closest thing that you can relate it to is 50-50. Seth Rogen and Joseph Gordon-Levitt cancer movie, where it's also like the little bromance story. And I guess there's another one. What is it? The one on Netflix with Mark Duplass and Everybody Loves Raymond, Ray Romano.
Oh yeah,
We haven't seen that yet. I think Paddleton. We do need to see that. But I think all three of these films share the similar two men helping each other during a cancer thing.
I mean, and they show, I like how they show how when something bad happens, people drop off in your life because they don't want to deal with you in your worst. They just want to have fun with you and hang out with you. And when you're going through something difficult.
Or they only have such an amount of time. They can only support you so much.
Well, also, like, people drop,
That's what I mean.
Honestly,
Yeah, they can only.
I'm talking about through death, through divorce, through whatever. People drop off because they only want to hang out with you when it's fun and happy and not when it's sad and difficult for a long time, especially. Like you say, there's only a certain amount of time people want to deal with it.
Yeah, they can only handle it so much. We can do the 2 or 3 moments or the 2 or 3 moments of support.
People just drop off.
But I don't fault people for that. I mean, we all have our own lives and our own things.
Yeah, of course.
And I think...
So it's abnormal to have a friend. I mean, it's rare and unique to have a friend that sticks in there like that and kind of drops their life.
But the point in this movie, the Jason Segel character, he had been struggling even until this moment to find the purpose and the point in his life.
And that was part of his purpose.
Yeah.
Really, he realized. But then it was easier for him to go on with his life because he felt there was a purpose why he was I can't think of the word, wandering and not focusing or not being able to find what is his thing.
No, he was searching even into what it seemed like
what he was meant to be there at that time.
His late 30s, early 40s. that he still was struggling to find his place and purpose in life. And yeah, so he had that opportunity to do that. And then, yeah, there was also her passing was his catalyst to say, I have to move on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to let go of things. Because though it never went there, it's, there's like a level of love and infatuation that he had towards Dakota Johnson.
From the beginning, before she even...
But even in decades later, his friendship with her and Casey Affleck.
But he never crossed the line.
No. But it was enough.
He loved her enough.
It's enough to hold on to not commit to other things and move forward. I think that was a subtle thing that the movie never fully explored.
Developed, yeah.
But it definitely was there.
For sure.
No, so I like movies like that. I liked Our Friend.
I liked it a lot.
I thought it was a good movie.
Movies that have stuck with me over the years, unfortunately, I don't know why. It must be a weird thing in me. But movies that have stuck with me over the years are super sad cancer movies, like Terms of Endearment. These are movies I remember and stick with. So,
no,
anyway,
but it was
I liked it a lot. It's worth the watch. If you
like
to be sad.
I recommend renting it. It's like $5 to rent it on streaming. That's really all you can see it these days.
Yeah.
Or like you Redbox the DVD, but no, I recommend it.
The actors did well. The children even did well.
Like I said, to me, the surprising thing about it was that it truly was this. And again, I'm not using it in a negative term. Only I think, for me at least, it creates the best connotation in your mind. Like it's a bromance movie.
I don't think that at all when I think of it, but I'll let you keep saying that in our podcast. Every time you say it, I kind of get a little cringy, but
no,
I understand what you're saying.
Neither one are bros at all.
Neither one are bros at all. And they're not, it's not a bromance. It's not like he's in love with Captain. I mean, it's not a bromance.
No,
but
it's
it is
two male friends, but again, male intimacy and male
it is a
male friendship and male support is
true friends and
not
supportive.
Only a rare thing in films, this is a rare thing in general.
Yes.
But
I think bromance
so that to me
could be the wrong term.
That term is just to me it's a playful term to say, oh, it's because it's such a foreign concept for whatever reason in society and film.
That men are empathetic and genuine
and emotionally supportive.
But see, I think bromance plays into men not... That word plays into men not...
We're outside.
Men not being like that. That very word plays into it.
No, I know. Listen, I saying to me that's, like I said, it's not meaning it any negative way. I'm saying that's to me
but I get it. I get what you're saying.
The power of this movie is in the two of them. Yes. I think Dakota Johnson... She's a minor character in this movie, truly. She's the catalyst, but she's not the focal point of this.
No.
Which I think was the different part between, say, a movie like 50-50, where Joseph Gordon-Levitt with the cancer is the focal point of that movie. Mm-hmm. It's about him. It's about his struggles and all that. No, it's not about her. This is a movie about Casey Affleck and Jason Segel
dealing with someone they love and having someone there to support them, which is not a common thing.
And that's what I thought was more interesting.
Yeah, I agree.
The people impacted by the loss, not the person experiencing it.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's what I thought was good about it. And that's what I mean, just like the bromance side of it. All right. So we're going to refill our stuff and pause.
I'm going to take a little pause.
And then we'll talk about the best movie we saw.
I mean, I liked it.
Censor. Oh, you already said you liked it. Good.
But I really liked Our Friend. The best movie for me yesterday was Our Friend, but I enjoyed our Censor as well.
The most thoughtful film was Censor.
Okay.
Thought-provoking.
All right, let's take a break and come back.
Thought-provoking.
Let's take a break.
All right. Bye.
I'm not still going over it.
Well, for passing it as an 18, it needs more cuts.
A decapitation?
Nope. No, the decapitation is ridiculous. It's the eye gouging. It's too realistic. Plus, I was trying to see who dragged her away.
Does it matter?
Oh, it would be nice if it had some clear retribution.
I
after all
appreciate
the-
you analysing this with such precision, Enid, but perhaps someone got out of the cautious side of bed this morning?
Oh, I'm just doing my job.
You're missing the intellectual layer,
Oh,
my
come
dear.
on, we
the
both
heightened
saw-
references take the edge off the more realistic violence. See it less as an eye gouging, more part of a grand tradition. It's no worse than the Cyclops in Homer. It's Gloucester in Lear. It's un chien andalou.
I've salvaged the tug of war with the intestines. I've kept in most of the screwdriver stuff. And I've only trimmed the tiniest bit off the end of the genitals. But some things should be left to the imagination.
It's like rat brothel all over again.
No, I just want to get it right. Plus, you lost the argument the moment you brought Shakespeare into the room. We can't afford to make mistakes. I'm cutting it.
Okay, we're back. We got
We're back.
a refill of our...
I want to say Killing Me Softly, but it's Keep a Cool Hand.
I want to say Cool Hand Luke.
I want to call it Killing Me Softly, like the song, but it's not.
No.
That'd be a good name
our
for a drink,
drinks,
though.
We got a refill. And to talk about our final film,
Censor.
Censor. Which, anytime you watch sort of 3 movies in a day, the third movie, I mean, it's going to be a really good movie to keep you in.
True.
And this first
It
part
was
of this,
short.
that was a good thing. This movie's like
That was a
clocks
good thing
in
because I was sleepy.
at around 80 minutes.
Yeah.
But I think for the premise of this movie is it needs to be short. But the idea of Censor was a movie that has just also come out, kind of like Till Death, on demand, on streaming as a rental.
It was on your radar.
It was on my radar only because I saw the picture of it, which is this sort of 80s looking
Librarian type woman.
woman.
Not old, though. She's
No, just that dress from the 80s on the top half of her body, and then there's like a weird
Oh,
VHS
the poster.
VHS effect, and the second part of her body is she's like holding an axe.
Yeah.
And like intriguing, you watch the trailer and find out this is a movie about 1980s Britain, British 1980s, in this idea of the video nasties,
Which we didn't know what
which
that
we
was.
had to do a little even though we're children of the 80s,
We are.
which is part of the
Definitely.
intrigue in this, to me. The 1980s were
More
would-
censored than... Well, they
Well,
were
no,
and
in
they
Britain-
weren't.
in Britain it was.
In Britain they were.
But no, I'm saying if you go to the video, this is where the appeal was, right? If you went to the video store in the 1980s,
Which we all did.
yeah, you would see all these, if you went to that section, all these horror movies that you would never see anywhere.
Clearly you went there more than I did.
Of course I went and looked at those. But I think you have seen plenty of 80s VHS covers.
Of course.
Straight to video, cheap horror movies stuff. A lot of it is exploitative and just not good movies at all.
No.
But just murder and killing and all that stuff. Satanism,
And there
etc.
wasn't as much, like, I mean, just for example, this doesn't even go into horror, but, well, I guess maybe it does. There wasn't, like, the PG-13 element that there is now.
No, that kinda
it was
came
just,
late,
like,
yeah.
PG, really innocent, or R.
Oh, yeah.
And so a lot was left in PG.
And a lot of it was R, but it wasn't.
Much more was PG than...
No, but I think a lot of it, if it was horror, it
Or
got an
was
R
R.
rating. But when you watch it,
Horror was R, yeah.
Horror is what I mean. And when you watch it,
I'm
as an
thinking, like, Goonies,
no, even
stuff like that may have been PG-13 now, but was PG back then.
I gotcha.
Yeah,
and
language-wise and whatnot.
like a little bit of nudity would creep into PG movies,
I'm
etc.
talking about drugs and...
Drugs and like topless stuff would be in
Yeah,
PG
yeah.
movies earlier, of course.
Yeah.
No, but horror movies, most of it would come in to R. But watching it as an adult now, you see a lot of it either looks cheesy, campy, or not as bad as we thought it was, as I would think as children in the 80s, right?
Right.
We thought it was so bad and so evil and so satanic
Graphics
and so
and stuff weren't the same either.
and so gory. And
Yeah.
now you look at it and you're like, come on.
Yeah.
But back then it was the thing. So that was part of the appeal of this movie, is that it is playing with that 80s VHS aesthetic. Right?
Yes.
Okay, just check. And
For sure.
And the premise of this movie,
Well, the filming of it, making it even look like VHS-y in a lot of moments. And
Yeah.
how she's watching the VHSs and stuff.
and this
is
isn't
really
one of those
nostalgic.
movies that does a glorified version of the 80s. I think it's more a realistic version of the 80s, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Dreary,
Yeah.
depressing.
There's nothing glorified about it.
It's not hot pink and hot pants. It's just
It's not Madonna.
no. It's as it was. It's more like a slightly modernized version of the 70s.
Yeah.
But so the premise of this movie is that in Britain there was this thing called the video nasties, which was the British government censoring or demanding edits and changes to certain horror films to make them less offensive and gory and graphic.
Yeah.
And so it's a movie about a woman, Enid.
She is a censor.
Her
That's
job
her job.
is to watch these terrible movies.
Or any
and-
movie that comes
Yeah,
into her
but the
stack.
focus of this is that they're all like
Yeah.
these horrible
Horror
horror movies, low budget horror movies, and either deny them release or set the demands of what needs to be cut and changed for them. Like if there's a rape scene, oh, you need to cut out these parts, or if there is a killing scene, you need to cut out these parts.
This looks
or else,
too realistic,
Yeah.
or this
Or
looks
too long.
too graphic, or
you sit on this too long and too much, cut away.
And the initial impression I got of Enid, or something that stood out compared to her coworkers, was that she could sit there without flenching and watch these gruesome, terrible scenes happen where her, especially I don't remember her name, that woman that she worked with,
Another coworker.
a coworker, kind of would be like, how can you not look away, or how can you not, and she's like, she made jokes like, well, I'm not hungover, or I'm not whatever, to the woman, but at the same time, she just had this like uncanny ability to just kind of watch it without looking
But
away.
yeah, well, she had a very clinical approach to it.
Professional.
But she did say, I think to that coworker in that same scene, she said something to the effect of, I'm paraphrasing, but she said the brain can edit out
What it wants to.
what it wants to, right? And I thought that was one of the interesting things of this movie.
And that was a parallel to her experience that she was blurring into this
Which we'll
movie.
get to, and that's, I think,
Yeah.
the best part of that. I like this movie. I think I like it a lot. It's one of these movies that I think I have to watch again at some point to really appreciate it. But I struggled with it for the first hour because it's slow. It's just her going and watching these movies and her reaction shots to it, and it cuts to these made up 80s movies of like gore and death, but really briefly, just enough that you get like, oh my gosh, she watches this 8 hours a day.
And then there's bits of, a couple bad things happen in the news, and of people that have watched movies.
They tangle in,
and they kind of blame it on the censors.
They weave in a little bit of history lesson, which again, the movie does not educate you at all. If you want, you kind of have to do your work and say, oh, wow, because we did it after the movie a little bit. We watched a little bit of stuff about the video nasties and got a little brief 5-minute history. Being Americans, we're as aware of, now we knew like current affair TV and talking about Satan, like satanic panic and Satanism was definitely talked about in mainstream news. Phil Donahue, Oprah Winfrey, they talked about satanic movies and horror movies and all this. But not the government, I guess because of our First Amendment, free speech right and all that. Like,
Right.
did not intervene the way the British government did in the video nasties era. Margaret Thatcher, which the movie hints at that, like that, but it doesn't give you a full history lesson about all these movies and how they were censored. But it hints at it, like the news and media blaming crimes and things on these horror movies.
Yes.
Like you hear the media and stuff blaming things on video games now.
Right.
So that was an interesting.
Oh, like school shooters and whatnot being influenced by video games and violence and whatnot.
And media, which is interesting, which this movie hinted at some of the British culture doing that. But one of the things I thought was really cool about this movie and what is nice about it is it brings up this concept of how we remember things. And I think now with social media and pictures we look at, right? Even in our own kids, we hear our kids reminisce about things from their past. They're not 100% correct.
No.
They reminisce on these stories based on the stories they've been told at the dinner table, and they'll say like, "Oh, remember?
We all do this.
Remember when I was 4 and this and that?" Like they're keeping that memory there. When in reality, the way our brains form is as we get older, we lose. There's a really interesting radio lab about gray area in our brains. Another podcast. But as we get older, we forget all that stuff, our childhood. We just do. The only stuff we remember are the things we've either been told or the pictures we see, right?
Yeah, no, I totally believe that. Yeah.
And we see it in our own kids. They tell things that they act like they remember, but they're not remembering the experience, they're remembering the story. Right? They're remembering what they were told. They don't remember what happened when they were 5 years old. They just don't. And we like to kid ourselves and say we remember things.
I think you can remember something what was poignant or traumatic. It doesn't have to be like big traumatic, but it has to be like something that affected you in some way.
You remember one or two little key things in your life.
You don't remember the entire moment of it, but you remember that moment that something happened. I felt this way. You know, especially if it was something painful to you personally.
Yeah, there's very few things I think deep down we remember, but ultimately I feel a lot of the things we remember are the things that we have a memory aid.
Yeah.
And now with social media and photographs, we have that memory aid, right?
Yes.
It's no coincidence that the things that we remember the best about our childhood are the things we also have pictures and photographs of or video recordings of. Or, right, even on Facebook memory, right? Now Facebook and all that will give you your memory, your time hop or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
And so this movie, a long tangent on that, this movie plays with that idea, right? And that was, I think, one of the most interesting things about this film is the influence, without being obvious about any of this, is it's a very subtle, quiet, slow movie, except the last 20 minutes, which are like over the top.
Yes.
Right? But it plays with that because her trauma is
that she's in the forest.
Eden.
And Eden is in the forest. And her sister kind of gets lost, wanders away
at a very young age. At a young age.
She's like 10, maybe.
Her sister.
And her sister is younger.
Is either lost, abducted, or whatever in the woods.
Something happens to her sister in the woods, and the sister is gone forever. So, of course, she carries this with her, and the parents kind of do too. Or, she feels like she's been blamed for it, that she.
Well, the parents, even at this point, the only person who truly knows what happened is her, Edith.
Right.
The sister. The parents don't even know what happened.
Because they weren't there.
They weren't there. She was the only one that was there when her sister disappeared.
She doesn't really remember what happened.
Of course, she can't remember. Whether it's like she's blocked it out or
whether they were just like playing hide and seek and she just went missing, or, whatever happened, she kind of vividly remembers a man.
Well, I don't think she even
walking through the
vividly remembers
forest.
the man. I think she is, at this
It's
point,
a
she
memory.
believes there's a man there that
Because
abducted
she's been
her.
told that.
But why does she think that? And that's what is interesting, right? And this is where the movie takes this. Two things trigger her memory in this, right? This is decades later, maybe 20 years later. Her parents are ready to officially declare the missing daughter dead.
What's her name, Alice or something?
And I don't know. Well,
Alice?
I don't know if it's officially Alice.
I don't remember.
No, the lady that Edith, is it Eden or Edith? I want to get it right.
But her sister's name was Alice. It's Eden. Eden.
E-N-I-D?
Enid. Enid. Sorry.
Enid. Yeah, the parents feel at this point that they want to officially declare Enid's sister dead.
Yes.
It's been 15, 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Let's move on. Let's have closure.
Have a death certificate.
And that's the number one catalyst is the parents present Enid with the death certificate, saying that we want to move on.
Mm-hmm.
So that spurs
and
this.
she's initially, like, her initial feeling at the moment is against it because she's like, well, she's not dead.
Yes.
She disappeared. We've never found the body.
We never found her.
We've never found her. She's not dead. Why would we declare her dead? And her parents are kind of like, well, we just need to do this to move on. Like, there's no investigation. Everything's closed. It's
Never going to find her.
We're never going to find her. It's 20 plus years
Yeah.
later.
And then the second catalyst is in reviewing these horror movies, she sees one about two girls in the woods.
The same woods.
Or maybe it was filmed in the same woods.
Yeah, because the woods were called the same thing.
Yeah. And about two girls in the woods that end up going into a cabin, and one of the girls is murdered and killed by this weird-looking man.
Giant, kind
Yeah.
of.
And so Enid takes that, and that's why I said about her memory. We can't trust her as a narrator.
No.
She then starts to feel that this is a retelling of her sister's
What happened to her
disappearance.
sister?
And she imprints that man and that situation as an explanation to her sister's disappearance, and believing that. So it does two things, right? It does a comment. This is what I think is fascinating about this movie. It's so well done, and almost like, but it almost seems like effortless. Like it's almost like, coincidental. Like maybe they weren't intending on doing this, but I think they were. One, it sends the message of where our memories are influenced by other things, other factors. So her memory is influenced by watching this. So now she's implanted her own experience because of her own emotional stress and trauma about this, says, that's what happened to my sister. She's been abducted. This is her story.
It
right?
gives her a reason. It gives her a...
And then it does the other thing that the movie only hints at, is that whole video nasty thing, meaning these movies are influencing people to do things and to be... and
violent.
To be violent and to influence people in negative ways, right?
So it is
So
actually
she's watching these
influencing
movies,
her.
and it said, and has changed her because of this smut cinema, if you will.
Of course, and I'm thinking that the whole time she's watching these movies for 8 hours a day.
It desensitizes to her, and she becomes that which she watches.
She becomes part of the movie.
Yeah.
Literally.
Well,
she
that's where
becomes
the
part
movie
of the
goes.
movie.
Without full spoilers, I don't think we have to spoil everything. That's the path of this. She gets so lost in her own mind, in her loss of her sister, and the watching of these
figure
movies,
it all out,
and to accept her sister's disappearance, to deal
Accept
with
what happened to her
yeah,
sister.
to see these movies day in and day out, this like exploitation of women and
Death,
and
gore.
abuse of women and murder and all that. Because she keeps saying throughout the movie, I just want to keep her safe, her sister safe, and people safe. I just want to keep people safe, right? So she becomes, as in the poster does, this axe-wielding savior.
Who's trying to keep her sister safe, but actually becomes what she doesn't want everyone else in society to become.
She becomes the horror.
Of course.
That's an amazing movie.
The twist is amazing, yes.
That the best part of this movie are the last 20 minutes. You have to endure.
You have to.
It was rough. It was getting late. I was getting tired. I was even like not sleeping, but starting to get like heavy eyes.
I always do.
I gotta shift my seating. I can't sit like this anymore. But since seeing Censor, I'm like, I gotta see Censor again.
Gotta see it again, not so late at night.
And just to watch it again, because now that seeing the whole thing, I bet it's, like I said, I think it's a masterful film by, I think it's a first-time director. It's a female director. I don't think she's done much other stuff. She has done like a short 15-minute film called Nasty, which is kind of the same story as Censor. It's just sort of like a little short video of the same thing. So
That's pretty cool.
I think
this
it's a great
is her
movie.
first film. That's great.
But I think it's something that someone could easily watch and almost dismiss it as one, boring, unless they stick with it, or two, like confusing.
I liked it. It was tough for me.
And
it was tough for me, and then honestly, my mentality at the time, and now that I discuss it, I would like to see it again when I'm not so tired.
You're like, oh my gosh, this is such a great film.
At the time,
I thought Our Friend was good.
After what was the Megan Fox movie called?
Till Death.
All the Peril after Till Death. And then we watched Our Friend. That was a relief from some of the peril, although it was sad. And then back to a lot of peril during...
but only peril at the very end, though.
Censor. Only peril at the very end.
But though there were all those cuts for VHS movies that she was watching, that was nothing but screaming and killing and raping. Yeah, it was terrible. It was terrible.
My body. This is what my body does.
Yeah.
To vulgar and violence. I shut down. I do not love a lot of vulgar and violence.
Yeah.
This movie had a purpose for it. It wasn't like unpurposeful vulgar and violence. There was a good storyline, a good plot, a good twist. Everything was good about it. But I start to be like, okay, I cannot even watch somebody getting chopped up or stabbed.
Censor is a movie, right? Where it's a puzzle, right? And as they're building all the exterior elements, the borders of the puzzle.
Yes.
And none of it really fully clicks at what it's really trying to do. Those middle pieces that really reveal the puzzle until the very end.
Yeah, you're right.
And you're watching it. It's almost funny at the end.
Yeah, it is. No, it definitely is.
Because it ends with it ends.
Well, it is definitely funny at the end.
But
she's
it's also
smiling and laughing.
It's funny, but it's also super scary and frightening at the end. Because though we don't know how it fully resolves, we don't know anything about her sister, and we can assume, living in reality and logic, that her sister is long gone.
That wasn't her sister, yeah. But it doesn't come out and tell you that. But
the frightening reality of what she has done, and now the trauma that she's brought upon not only this actress, Alice, that we learn about later at the end of the movie, and her parents.
The director of the movie.
Well, the director, the director of the movie, the producer of the movie. But then I'm also just thinking of her parents.
Her parents.
Because the movie ends with her parents and her.
Yeah.
As well. And we only get flashes of reality.
Yeah.
The last 15 minutes of the movie, 10 minutes of the movie, we only see the world through Enid's eyes.
Yes.
And I think that's what's fascinating about the whole
she's
idea
in an altered state.
of memory
Yeah.
and our one's own personal perceptions of things. And it only does little glitches, like little VHS tracking shots to let you know what's actually happening.
Yeah. This is definitely a different movie. It was definitely
And that's just like a really cool just filmmaking technique that you
Yeah.
don't see much of. I don't think
was.
I've really ever seen it done that way.
And this was a new movie, right?
It just came out. It came out as of this recording, July 4th, like a week ago.
That's cool. I like that. Yeah, it's very different. Very different.
So
I needed to see it 3 hours earlier.
and without Till Death as part of the
And
viewing.
without Till Death as part of our viewing thing.
But think
Because
about
that
it.
was too much peril for me. But
But think about it. I agree with you.
I agree.
I agree with you.
I
Movies
agree
like
it was a unique viewing experience, for sure.
a movie like Our Friend, I agree, is a great emotional movie.
I get the difference. in
No,
the
but
two
think
movies.
about Censor and The Neon Demon, some of these other movies we've watched recently, right? The power of films that, they're very genre heavy. Yeah, they're very, they could almost be very off-putting to people in their
Well, the power of films that push the boundaries of filmmaking.
Yeah. And I think we've seen two recently. I think between The Neon Demon and Censor, these are like two very thought-provoking, artistically driven movies that really show that cinema can not only be a powerful storytelling element like Our Friend, but then also visually can just be a medium for telling stories that
Yeah, I mean, I think with those films and Our Friend, there's two different complete audiences and purposes.
yes.
You know, like there's, and Our Friend is good for what its audience and purpose is, because it's a good film for that purpose and audience. Better than most cancer sad films. But those films are for a completely different audience. And
All right, so let's run it
purpose.
down. Till Death, we don't really recommend.
No.
Our Friend, we recommend.
We recommend to people who enjoy being sad.
Okay. I think Our Friend, we recommend to anybody.
It's a good movie.
I have no reservations on that. So what is the recommendation for Censor?
I recommend it for sure.
No.
It's 80 minutes. And it's different. And if anything is different, it makes you think. To me, if it evokes an emotion,
It does.
like Our Friend and Censor, it's worth seeing. If it's something different that you typically don't see, like Censor, it's always worth seeing because you're expanding your mind to different ways film can be, for sure. And
No, I
I
agree.
liked it. It was good.
Yeah,
I mean, it was a different take on, a different look, even a different theme that people have not really touched.
Yeah.
The fact of the censorship of films.
Yeah, I recommend it for anybody too. I think if you lived during that era of 1980s.
Even if you didn't.
No, but I think number one,
it.
if you did, you enjoy it.
You really enjoy
because you
it.
understand
Yeah,
it. You
yeah,
understand what's happening. And I think anybody nowadays who are watching films who are, 20 years and up, who are willing to give it a look, I think you'd also see the element of just, that's what I said, I think it's really relevant, even though social media doesn't play a piece in it at all. It's really relevant in the impact that media, nowadays is mostly social media, media influences our memories of things.
Of course. Absolutely.
And I felt that movie really, that's what I thought was interesting. A movie about VHS films says a lot about our current state of things with social media now.
Absolutely.
So,
Definitely.
all right.
It was an enjoyable day yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good rainy day movie.
Good rainy day.
So they're
But today, it's blue skies. 4th of July drinks.
Our 4th of July, we're about at the end of our drinks again. And they have like plastic cups here, but I think they'll still
clean.
They'll still toast. All right, so let's toast. That's good.
Good.
All right. So maybe our next episode will just be a movie. It'll be another triple feature. This is
Maybe
our,
we'll
like
watch
our
something
third
tonight.
triple feature episode, I think.
It's like our second, I think.
We've done it multiple times.
And we always say we never watch 3 movies, but lately we have.
I know.
You know what? Because we love watching movies together.
No,
it's part of us.
All right. So go watch Our Friend and Censor.
Yes.
Go watch The Neon Demon if you haven't seen it yet.
Yes.
And we will talk to you soon. All right.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.